Hi, I'm David with EV World News. We talk about electric vehicles, green energy, and the stock markets. And I'm back in our studio today with our founder and chief editor, Bill Moore. How's it going today, Bill?
I am fine, thank you very much.
All right. Well, we got lots of interesting new news kind of thing going on. I wanted to start out with a little bit of, just some car industry stuff. So for I don't know. Texas, Toyota and Lexus, no surprise, reign supreme in resale value of cars. When it comes to holding value, they continue to be the gold standard. And for Kelley Blue Book's 2025 Best Resale Value Awards, Toyota was the best brand for the eighth time in 9 years.
Mm,
And Lexus was the best luxury brand for the second year running. Neither of those is particularly surprising, is it? They're well known for quality,
right.
reliability, and make a pretty decent car for the money.
And
The Toyota,
I've got one in my garage that I want to sell.
yes, I know. Um, Toyota Tacoma is the number one vehicle of all cars made with a 64.1% resale value after 5 years. That's
Mm,
pretty damn good.
yeah,
Now, the Tacoma is a mid-size pickup truck, which really there aren't a lot of competitors to it. So, and pickup trucks in general tend to hold value pretty well, but against it, you've got like that Ford Maverick, you've got which didn't exist a few years ago. Um, you got a couple other vehicles out there, but for the most part, you have full-size trucks, right? And so
right.
that's a little bit different there. Now, Toyota and Lexus dominated with 13 total category wins, while Honda, Rivian, and a few others trail slightly behind. I just thought that was kind of interesting news to see where that's going in the overall car industry, because I do have more Toyota news as we go along.
Okay.
So Toyota actually has some pretty decent news. Let me see. So let's start out with I found something on the Kia EV9. Now the Kia EV9 is a vehicle came out last year. That's a large three-row SUV made by
Right.
Kia that they're making it in Georgia. Well, soon you'll be able to enjoy vehicle-to-home capabilities thanks to a new charging unit from EV charging solutions company Wallbox. Now,
Yep.
I know Wallbox does bidirectional chargers. They're one of the few companies that really makes those. But it's the first compatible bidirectional charger to work with the EV9. EV9 owners and lessees can now pre-order the Quasar 2 and power recovery unit on a first-come, first-served basis while supplies last. Um, but thanks to that, it can serve as we talk about vehicle to grid all the time. In this particular case, we're just talking about trying to use it for your own home. One
Right.
of the objects is later on, electric vehicles can charge at night when the grid isn't using much energy, and they can supply power back during the day when the grid needs that extra energy. But in the case of the home, the idea is you could kind of do the same thing a little bit, especially if you're in a place where electricity is more expensive during the day,
Right.
where it has rates that are different than day and night. And the idea is, once again, you charge the car when it's cheap, then you could power your home from the car when
Yeah.
it's more expensive, and you could cut down
Well,
on your electric bills.
yeah, we had what, 14,000 customers here in the last day without power. You
Yeah, I
know,
was one of them.
yeah. Oh, you were one of them. Sorry
Yeah, it was
about
really odd.
that.
See, I don't have a battery backup for my
Yeah.
solar,
Yeah.
and we actually were without power for about 3 hours in the
Okay.
middle of the night. It was like from 3 a.m. to 6
Yeah.
a.m.
Yeah.
And it was something, it was a power pole up on L Street at near 72nd, which that's like 4 or 5 miles away. Got
Yeah.
It burned. I don't know what caused it to burn, but if it was electricity that set it on fire or just randomly caught on fire, who knows? Got hit struck by
Well,
lightning,
yeah.
spontaneous
Well,
combustion.
yeah. And they had a report on one where a tree fell on the power line, and that
There you go.
that broke the transformer and things. But well, we were going to go get our haircuts yesterday, and the place where we get our haircut, not far from where you are, said, "Well, we're not open today. Can
No
we?"
power.
Because they had no power. Yeah, but we were
Yeah.
fine here in the southwest part of town. We didn't have any power loss. We had a brief glitch, but once during the evening, but just momentary.
Yeah. Well, anyways, I mean, obviously, vehicle to grid technology could have powered a lot of things during
Well, the
an
interesting
event
thing
like that.
is, yeah, the interesting thing is I'm looking, as we've been talking, I've been looking to become a one-car couple. We've got two cars, and the one of them hardly ever gets driven, the Prius, and we do most of our running around in the Fiat. So I'm thinking, let's downsize, but I want a car that'll drive me further than the outskirts of Omaha. Okay. So I need
Mhm.
to get something that's got a little bit bigger battery pack in it. So we're looking at a number of different options, one of which is the Chevrolet Bolt. And it
Mhm.
turns out that the Bolt, in fact, does have, and General Motors has developed a vehicle to home charging system. Now, it will cost you about 6 grand to buy the system and put it in, but that's something that they have. Of course, we know that Ford has had something historical for the last
Yes.
couple of years with the F-150. And of course, the latest news being is that the EV9 is now introducing that capability. And I can't remember who it was. I posted a 30 some stories this morning, and one of those was another company that's doing the getting into the vehicle to grid or vehicle to home uh, arena. So that's becoming a trend that we're starting to see, in the industry, which is encouraging. So.
I would think at some point this gets mandated that all the EVs have to have that capability. I mean,
You would think, and I don't. Well, I'm not an engineer. We'd have to talk to guys. The articles I sent you there about we're charging our cars wrong, authored by Wally Ripple.
yeah.
Um, that there's that technology is beginning to finally seep into the engineering
Well,
environment.
and a lot of people, the word mandate is kind of a bad word to a lot of people,
Oh
but
yeah, it is.
the thing is, and people that want to say that like the grid can't handle EVs, the truth is the grid can't handle AI. Okay. And EVs may be the answer to the
Yeah,
problem.
right.
And if everybody drove an EV and had vehicle to grid or vehicle to home set up, they'd be able to supply power back.
And how long before the AI, which we see happening now, the AI gets into the car's architecture and it now knows when to turn off, when to turn on, how to help the grid, when to keep the battery, all that, controlled by a little tiny itty bitty microchip in the circuits of the car. Um, that's coming, you know. We've already got, there's a Japanese, or I'm sorry, Chinese company that has introduced a new SUV. It's kind of a luxury, upscale electric SUV in China that will park itself back into a thing and park itself. So that's, of course, that's Toyota had that technology 10 years ago, not particularly good at that point. And then you've got cases of Tesla trying to do, the go park yourself and come back and get me from the parking lot. That's not been exceptionally good either. There've been cars that tried to drive themselves and crashed into other cars and things like that. So
In
we'll
10
see.
years, the AI is gonna there's gonna be a power outage in one section of the city, and AI is gonna grab all the cars that are being unused in their garages and send them over to that part of the city. You're gonna see like a whole bunch of empty cars just driving over to part of the city to hook
Yeah,
up and charge that
then
part of the city.
then a robotic car comes in and plugs itself in or something. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. We're going to have something like that. It's coming. It's coming. It's just like the next logical step. It's like Musk was talking about. Your car is going to go out and drive and go do Uber rides for you at night. When you're not using
Yeah.
your car. And it's kind of like, but it's really an interesting thought that your car could go out and
There's a survey done recently, however, that something like 60 plus percent of the American population doesn't trust it. So
oh, I get it.
that could change. Obviously, that could change over time. Younger generation, us old skeptics, pass on, and the younger generation is a little bit more willing to accept something like that. And hopefully, technology gets better. So
Yeah, yeah. Well, anyways, that was the news from Kia. All right, so one of my next ones. So we'll go to a Tesla article. Tesla United Kingdom sales are up over 20% despite the Elon Musk backlash. This gets really funny. This really goes from country to country. It's really funny how this is going.
and you can now add the Irish Republic to that because their Tesla sales are up 30%. I just posted that moments
That's
ago.
funny. Yeah, Tesla sales soared month over month by over 20% in February, which was 4,000 vehicles. It's not a lot, but considering it was a surprise considering concerns over consumer backlash tied to Elon Musk. Um, the Tesla Model 3 and Model Y ranked second and third as the most popular cars. The number one most popular car in February was the Mini Cooper. I love Minis.
Yeah,
They're
that's
just a
yeah,
great car.
it's a great retro nostalgia car. Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you don't need a big car, they're fun, they're stylish, they look cool. Um, there's a lot to it, but
And they're available in electric if you were so
oh
willing to
yeah,
go.
yeah.
Yeah.
They just need to start getting a little bit bigger battery in them, but maybe not. I guess once again, it all
I
depends on what you're
I
getting it for.
I drove one of the prototypes around Hollywood, literally around Hollywood,
Mhm.
and the whole it was just the front seats you could occupy because the whole back of the car was battery.
Even without that, the back seat is not very useful.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, you can set groceries in it, but it doesn't really. I've never hauled a small child or something in it, but I'm pretty sure when I had a Mini, there, I've never, maybe once or twice, somebody sat in my back seat.
yeah.
It wasn't very common. Certainly wouldn't be
And
using it for a
no, it's just
taxi or a police car, that's for sure.
oh no. It's just strictly, it's a right sized car for somebody to commute back and forth to a job 10, 20 miles away.
Yeah,
How most
yeah,
cars are used, actually.
yeah. And it's very sporty at the same time.
Hmm.
But I just thought that was, you know, it's interesting to see some of this. And then there was another article. The Tesla Model Y is the top selling import in South Korea. It's like, another one where, I guess they're not really concerned about US politics. Nothing, US aid's not giving them any money. And, South Korea can stand on their own.
Yeah, which of course brings up, um, there's an article that I published on there from the Tesla ethicist, right? Which somebody asked him, given the antics of Elon Musk, should I get rid of my Tesla as a way to protest, right? And it's pretty good article. It says, well, yeah, he's done some controversial things, but then look at all the positive things the company has and the company he owns has done, right?
Mhm.
So do you, because he's doing this crazy stuff, is that the way you should protest? And of course, then you got this problem with all these cyber trucks being vandalized and dealerships being vandalized, which is absolutely not only is it criminal, it's just dumb, right?
Mhm.
If that's not how you're going to. I mean, if you're going to do anything, send him a letter or something. I don't know, but don't destroy other people's property that they've worked hard for just to make a political statement. Just don't do it, folks. I'm as disappointed in the guy as anybody, right? Because I've been around this thing. I saw I was around before he took over Tesla.
Hmm.
And so, and we had excitement, and he's done a lot of really interesting and important things in this space. Maybe, maybe he's just gotten himself, too much money and too much power, and now he's wielding it, and it's not always to the best for society as a whole. But don't take it out on people who have seen the light, for want of a better term, when it comes to driving electric. Don't do that, please.
Yeah, it's just pretty dumb. But you and I have talked about this. He needs to put somebody else in the CEO position of Tesla. It's
Absolutely.
the only one of his companies that's a publicly traded company. It seems like it'd be the right thing to do. He could stay as chairman, but make somebody else the CEO. Let somebody
Well,
else run it.
the chairman, you noticed, sold what, $30 million worth of Tesla shares here over the last few weeks.
Oh, somebody on the board.
No, no, it's the chairman, the
Oh,
lady.
she's the chairman.
The
Okay.
chairman, yeah, she's the chairman. She sold, and then of course his brother and some other insiders have sold a few $1 million worth of shares. So
Mhm.
I don't know what that tells you about their confidence in the company, but yeah, please come on, folks. If Elon wants to fool around with these other businesses, let him do that. I'd prefer he stayed out of American politics. Thank you. But let's get somebody in there that'll focus on on not running Tesla's good name into the ground, which is the way I think it's what he's doing right now. My
All right.
personal opinion.
Yeah, yeah. Well, anyways, that was our article about South Korea. So, while we're talking about this thing about Musk, I want to share something I found. This is from Twitter. This is kind of funny. So, and this was actually something that somebody found on Reddit, but this left on somebody's car, and it has a
Okay.
little Tesla logo with a swastika in the middle of the logo up
Yeah.
here. It's
Yeah.
hard to see on here, but it says, "Sorry about your swastika. We know you didn't sign up for this. Once upon a time, Teslas were cool." It's just really kind of funny. But don't worry, there's still time to get out before the resale value crashes harder than Twitter. How to escape your Tesla faster than Elon can lose advertisers. Sell it ASAP. Lease, transfer it, trade it. Better EV options that won't age like a bad tweet. Hyundai Ioniq 5 and 6, Rivian R1S and R1T. It's really funny. Somebody must have printed a bunch of these and they're going around and sticking them on Teslas.
Well, that's better than taking a spray can and painting a
Yes.
swastika on the tie to the car, or
Yeah.
or keying it. That's been happening.
Yeah. That's really it says anything not associated with a guy who tweets great point at white nationalists. I just thought this was like Jesus. The stuff people are doing to complain gets a little bit out there. And in other Tesla news, the Cybertruck's not selling so well, so they're offering 1.99% financing on it. So, that's another little deal they're doing, trying to get
Well,
those sales up.
Ford's having the same issue with the Lightning. I think they've got 0% interest, and now they're offering, if you have a Tesla,
Mhm,
they're inviting you to come in, and we'll buy it from you if you buy one of our vehicles.
mhm.
Um, yeah. So it's an interesting. Oh, and by the way, apparently, the handful of Cybertrucks that have been imported into the UK, there I don't know if it's official, but the police are banning them and hauling them off.
Yeah, you can't drive full-size pickup trucks in the UK and I think Australia.
Yeah,
I mean, you have to have a real legitimate commercial purpose to
right.
have a truck that size and drive it around on the roads in those countries.
Yeah,
And so, yeah, there's been people having trouble that have tried to bring them over from France and drive them around, and they've been getting,
yeah.
you know, challenged and stuff like that. And I don't know. I mean,
Go
it's
back to
too,
France, right?
it's too well. It's too big. It's too big for their roads.
Oh yeah.
It's too big for their
If you could,
infrastructure.
I assume you've been to England.
I have not.
Okay, well, I lived there,
Mhm.
and the roads are quite narrow,
Mhm.
And generally, because most of the houses are built, sort of duplex style, where you've got multiple houses, and developments in a row, and there are no garages. There are few parking spots other than the front yard. Well,
Mhm.
yard, yeah, it's a kind of a patio area. That's how most houses are over there, unless you live out on an old farm or something like that. If you live around any of the cities, there's just no place to park a car. So if
Mhm.
you got something the size of a cyber truck, where are you going to park it?
No,
You can't.
I get it. A lot of these European cities, the roads were all laid out before cars were even thought of.
They're for wagons. Well, I liked, because I lived there, and that's where I met my wife and fell in love and all that kind of. We have a warm spot for England at heart, so we like
Mhm.
to watch, sort of British television, particularly the what's the term, the comfies or something like that. Basically British crime dramas, right? Agatha
Thought you were going
Christie.
to say Benny Hill.
Yeah. Oh no. No, Benny's a little over the hill right now. But you see them driving through the country, and there's one lane, right? And that's what we had around where I went to school. We just had these one lane roads. There were little pullouts every so far. If you could kind of cut into the bank where the hedge was, that's where you'd pull the car in to let somebody else pass.
Mhm.
Driving a Tesla Cybertruck is like driving a Sherman tank down some of those roads. It's just out of place. Now, wide open spaces of the United States, no
Yeah.
problem. But over in England, not so much.
You know, Costco could teach the British how to build parking spaces and places to park. Costco has the best parking of any place ever. They make it so that you can open your doors without hitting the car beside you and stuff like that. Like the only retailer
Well,
who really put serious thought into
yeah,
and it always makes the parking lots look full though, because there's less car density
yeah.
for the amount of spaces.
Well, there's
But
there's not a lot of room in the UK for big parking lots.
yeah, well,
There's
Costco
not.
realized that a very high percentage of their customers drive F-150s or Suburbans
No.
and really, really large
Yeah.
vehicles,
Yeah.
and they've got the parking spaces are designed for it. It's so easy to pull in and out of those. Um, but yeah, so I just found it kind of interesting that they're doing this with the lower lease rates, or lower interest rates. But like you're saying, Ford's doing it too. And to be fair, on Model 3s, Tesla's offering 0% or 0.99 with zero down on new Model 3 orders until the end of the quarter. So, they're doing it in a lot of spaces, trying to, capture more sales. Guess I can't blame them with what's going on with Elon. Let me see here. All right. So Toyota never seems to be doing things right in the EV space. So what do they go and do? They release an EV only for China.
Of
And
course.
it's
Of
and it's
course.
it's the busy 3X. So
Yeah.
the busy 4X is the one they do in the United States. Just has been very lackluster.
Yeah.
But this is the busy 3X or BZ3X. It's a nice looking vehicle.
Not bad. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'd probably do pretty well here.
at a whopping starting price of about
Yeah.
$15,000.
Yeah.
15. Bill and I were talking before the show started. The only car you can buy new in the United States that's less than $20,000 is a Nissan Versa. It's the only car for 20 grand, and you're probably lucky if you can find a Nissan dealer even sell them one for under 20 grand. But
Yeah.
this is 15,000. The new electric SUV, it crashed the server to order
Yeah.
them. They sold 10,000 vehicles in the first hour.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's really interesting because there is a built-in antipathy between the Chinese and the Japanese. And this dates back to the Sino-Japanese War and then the World War II. because China and Japan were at war long before 1941.
Oh yeah, they started out in like the 33.
Yeah, they were at it for a long time, and the rape of Nanking, and you know uh, all that. So there's I was informed by a Chinese gentleman that antipathy that's still there.
Mhm.
So the fact that that's kind of the mood across the Chinese population, that sells a lot. That people still have, Chinese people still have a great deal of confidence and maybe more confidence in a Japanese made product than their own product in their country.
Yeah, well, um, the whole made in China thing has always had just a bad connotation for quality, right? And even though, Musk says the Chinese EV makers have really stepped it up, that they're the big leagues in car manufacturing now, I think the perception, even of the people in China, is that something that's imported or, it's a foreign brand is still going to be better somehow. And that's probably why Tesla does so well there. But they started kicking out the European and American brands other than Tesla. I mean, they're not, the government's not kicking them out. It's just people
No, they
aren't
just
buying them.
aren't buying them. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're voting
Well,
with their dollars.
and they haven't offered the product that the Chinese people want. You
Yep.
know.
And in this particular case, and to be fair, 10,000 cars in China is just a drop in the bucket. I mean, it is a tiny smidgen. What do they sell over there? Like 20 million? No, it's more than that. It's a crazy number of cars they sell in a year over there. It's more than, I think it's more than double
Yeah.
what the US
Yeah, I
sells.
forget that. Well, they also have a bigger population too.
Right, they have a bigger
Yeah.
population. But Toyota said the server is overwhelmed. They started at actually, about $14,000 on the launch. And let's see. The non-smart tech model starts at about 15 with 5 trims, while the smart driving model starts at about 20,500. Um, Range topping 610 max trim. Now that's kilometers, which is 379 miles. So we're not even talking like a just around town type vehicle. You
Yeah,
know,
is that of course that's the Chinese drive cycle, so it's not quite would be the same equivalent here generally as the United States, but still pretty dang good actually. And I'm wondering, are those Chinese sourced batteries from BYD or from um, cattle, or are they Toyota's, new solid state? I don't know if they are, and I've seen anywhere where it says that. Would
yeah, it does.
clarify
I
that.
didn't see anything on that. I will say that they did mention that it is cheaper than BYD's electric SUV.
Yeah, I
So,
imagine. Yeah,
yeah, so it's even undercutting BYD in the SUV space. So that's, but that once again, we talk about how it's possible to make EVs
yeah.
cheaper. It's not easy to do in the United
Well,
States, but they're able to do it overseas.
yeah, but then how much of that are subsidies from the city, province, and I don't want to call it federal, but from the national government? A lot of all those vehicles are underwritten by, production are underwritten by significant um, subsidies that are racking up some considerable debt in China. So I assume that those are Chinese. Those are being made at a factory. Probably some of the parts are coming from Japan, but I imagine most of the parts are being sourced in China.
You'd think,
Yeah.
but it didn't get into that. Didn't get into that. All right, well, let's get into the big story of the day, which is Volkswagen. So
Ooh,
Volkswagen has
jawohl.
released a 17,000 pound, as in UK pound, um, vehicle. And um, this is kind of what it's supposed to look like here, but it hasn't hit the streets yet. Looks like a prototype type.
Wow. Okay. Keep scrolling, please.
Yeah. Um,
Yeah,
but
they do have a physical prototype built. There's a on one of the articles that several of the articles actually, because everybody jumped on this one. I guess there's probably 10, 15 stories that I posted just this morning on this car. But they do have a physical prototype that's been built, not just these computer generated concept drawings.
yeah, well, here's from a different site. Um, let's
There it
see.
is. Yeah, there it
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
Now, whether that's an actual working car at this point or it's just that's an illustration.
We've put a
That's an
neutral, it'll roll downhill at least.
yeah.
It's a Nicola strategy. Um, yeah, I mean it.
I mean, I like it. You know, if it were available here, I'd be interested in buying it, particularly for that price.
Yeah, I mean it's.
Sort of typical, German, Northern European minimalism. Nice, clean design. Yeah, I think I'd go for it. Despite the fact that we were talking earlier about the one of the journalists say, talking about the car, and then said, you know, unfortunately, Americans don't want it or won't want it or whatever. I guess what? Because it's a small car.
I don't know.
You know,
I'm curious
I
about
like
that.
it.
My question is, can they provide it in the United States at a similar, below $20,000?
No,
That
that's yeah, it
that
depends. Of course,
that's
they
the
have
thing that I doubt, right?
they
They-
have what factory in where Chattanooga or something like
I mean,
that.
they can certainly make them in the United States, but they're
Oh
going to
yeah.
have to retool a facility to do that, right? Um,
Well,
but
that's not. Yeah, that's not that. They're used to retooling stuff all the time.
yeah, I
This,
get that. I get that. But let's see. So the ID.1 is also called what is it, like the end of
everyone,
the everyone, the
everyone.
everyone.
Yeah,
Yeah. So they consider it a real European people's EV, which what Volkswagen, people wagon,
yeah.
people's wagon. Yeah.
Volkswagen.
We're not going to say who's kind of behind the start of Volkswagen. We'll leave
Yeah,
that out, even though we've talked about
yeah.
other stuff on here. But range about 250 kilometers. In freedom units, that's about 160 miles, I think.
Yeah, probably somewhere around there.
Let's see. Tech and features. Forget massive screens or a rolling cinema. This is just practical, not flashy. Um,
Now, what's interesting about this car is this is the first one that Rivian is providing the software for.
oh wow, I didn't realize that part.
Yeah, that's the first. That's the first car that they're going to Rivian's provide the software for.
Yeah, it's obviously a very small car, but less than 20,000 euros. Insane for an EV from a brand like VW. On a leasing format, it's going to be a very attractive value for youngsters, people for a second car, or pensioners.
Here,
um, yeah. Um, Tesla is too busy delaying the Model 2, too unfocused at the moment. So when it does arrive, Volkswagen, Cupra, Skoda, maybe Mercedes, and the Chinese will already own the segment. The Chinese EVs are masters of range and tech, but none of them built a cheap, simple, quality EV for Europe. They're all busy chasing Tesla with 800-volt batteries and cinema mode interiors. But Volkswagen pulled off what neither Tesla nor China could do, a 20,000 euro electric car that actually fits European streets, wallets, and driving habits.
yeah,
It's not the best EV, it's not the longest range, it's not the most high tech, but it might just be the most important. And it's actually a pretty cool car. Is that enough
yeah.
range for you?
Well, it
So,
looks like from what they have, of course, decided at this point is where they're going to make it, and the speculation at this point is Germany makes a lot of Volkswagen makes a lot of cars in Spain, and that this could come out of one of their facilities manufactured in Spain.
nice. Nice. I think that would be a decent collaboration with Spain. Let's see.
Hmm.
Volkswagen boss Thomas Schaefer has described the model. which will be the firm's new electric urban car family, is the last piece of the puzzle in its mass market lineup. This is the car the world has been waiting for. Of course, I've seen a few of the ID buzzes now around Omaha. I've seen them in orange and in blue. And
Oh, all right. I
you
haven't seen.
know,
Well, I don't get out much
the
anymore. So
$60,000 new Volkswagen electric, bus from the the retro 1960s bus. But yeah, it's kind of exciting to see that. Yeah, so it benefit new software architecture developed
come on,
through Rivian.
Volkswagen brings.
So the cheapest EV currently on sale in the UK is the Dacia Spring, which is right at 15,000 pounds,
Yeah,
which offers 44 horsepower and a range of 140 miles.
yeah. Pretty
The
pathetic.
the Leap motor, um,
The Chinese company.
yeah, is about 16,000 pounds and offers 165-mile range and 94 horsepower. And Volkswagen has previously said their ID.2 will offer 223 horsepower and around 280 miles of range. But the ID.1, I think I saw it's going to have a range, 155 and about 94 horsepower, top speed of 81 miles per hour. Well, that's certainly not going to be competitive with a Tesla Model 3, but the idea is it's going to be a lot less expensive.
That's not their competitor. Now, the one suggestion I would make to them is they should consider doing the half door in the back, right? Because they got a nice. It's a two door,
Hmm.
and I would like to see them, because it's kind of a hatchback. They could probably get away with it. I'd like to see them do kind of like the BMW ID.3, and somebody else had that sort of half door that that opens up, sort of what do we call that, coach style, you know?
Hmm.
Instead of opening this way, they kind of open like that.
Oh yeah.
So I'd like to see them add that function. I've It's really hard for me. I've got a car almost like that in the form of the Fiat 500e, and it's really hard to get anything in that back seat. In fact, if we're going to put something in the back seat, I don't do it from the front doors. I go around to the back hatch and I reach over the back seat to get things in and out of there, which makes it pretty inconvenient. So if I had that little half door, like it's in the BMW i3, that would really make it easier for me to use that car with that way.
Yep. Yep. Well, anyways, that was all we had for today.
Okay.
Again, folks, we appreciate everybody chiming in and listening to us rant about EVs today. And Bill and I will be back on Tuesday. Otherwise, folks,
Okay.
have a great day.
Alvitas, Zane.